Well, our open houses are done, and I want to kind of just recap those very shortly. And then I've got a favor to ask you guys, which, spoiler alert, in case you don't get to the end, but there's a survey that we would really appreciate if you took. We're trying to figure out what the next step is. So, about the open houses, real quick. First of all, they were great. It was really fun to meet everybody. If you were there, a pleasure to meet you. And I got to say, it was really just like meeting old friends. That might seem weird. I know it felt like that for some of the people on your side, meeting my dad especially. But it's just the truth. Like, if everybody I met, like, we instantly had the same interests. We watched the same shows. We liked the same types of things. And so it was really just neat. And I want to just hit a couple of the common questions that people asked before we talk about this survey, because they're related. Separate from questions about the house, like, is it going to be sold? Which, yes, it is. In fact, right now, that's what I'm working on, is getting the sale ready to go. And we're going to make it kind of public. We're going to put those videos up, and we're going to try to let the price be more public while it's in the sale process. Instead of just accepting offers and keeping them private, we're going to share the best offer for a little mini sales period. Not quite an auction, but like I said, at least try to get a little more interest. So yeah, the house is going to be sold. It'll happen really soon. There's a couple little touch-up things happening. If you were at the open house on the first time, or either time, then you probably know what they are, because it's actually a little more than a touch-up. It's a major repair, but we'll talk about that later. The most common question, aside from details about the house, were surrounding what is next for Essential Craftsman. And the answer then and now is still, I don't know, and we don't know. It will not be another, season 2, like another house build again. We don't want to replow that ground. We felt like we did the best job we could, and doing it again would be a little bit redundant. That's not to say there's not another type of house building series that could be done. It just means if we do another one, it'll be different. This one was really focused on the nitty-gritty, the how-to aspect of the trades and those sequences and materials. And there would be some other ways to do a house build, looking at it through a different lens. So that's possible. But the better answer really is that I don't know exactly what's next. For the first time in like 3 years, we're actually asking ourselves this question. What I mean by that is, when we announced this Spec House project, it was the middle of 2017, that we committed ourselves to a project and a series of videos that we couldn't quit on. If to quit would have been to really leave something wide open, undone. And so whenever someone would ask, what's new on Essential Craftsman, the answer was always, we're building this house and finishing the series. So now, for the first time, we're kind of thinking about what's next. And don't panic too much. We're not going to have some big change. My dad wants to do more blacksmithing videos. He wants to do more sawmilling and timber type stuff. Basically his interest. He wants to be working on the things that he likes to be working on. He wants to build a tree house and make a video series about that. So there will be more of the same, but there's room for an evolution, and actually everything changes. So it's natural for the brand and for the content to evolve and morph into its next chapter as we learn more and as we grow and as the audience provides feedback, which brings me to this survey. It's not a major question, but I kind of think of you guys who listen to the podcast and who go to the second channel as the most core and relevant viewers, who are probably watching most of our regular content on the main channel. You have a better idea of who I am and what types of things I'm doing on the podcast and in general. And really, I think you guys are the ones who could provide the most insight about what you would be interested in seeing more of. To some extent, that means what types of videos, but more importantly, it's what other products or services or types of sites could we build that would help you and be interesting to you and such. You'll see what I mean in the survey. So please click it. Please share it. If you know someone else who's a fan, who you think might have a different opinion than you. Maybe your brother watches, say, hey, chime in. And if the survey doesn't give exactly the question that you think we should hear, just shoot us an email and let us know, because we are trying to crack this nut right now of what is next. And the hope is that we can put something together that the audience wants and enjoys. Please check that out. To give you an idea of what we're thinking, in my mind, one of the most obvious, I'll say, products that I would like to provide is a better place for you viewers to communicate with my dad more directly and more naturally. And that's actually what he wants as well. You may not realize this, but of all the things on planet Earth that he likes, and my mom too, for that matter, if you met her or if you've ever emailed her, is they like people, and they like connecting and talking and learning from people and about people. That's it. And interestingly, that's the aspect of the business that he doesn't get in the way you would think. He speaks to a camera like what I'm doing right now, but it's surprisingly kind of empty feeling to do that. And so I'm hoping there's a way that we can set up a group or a platform. A live stream is good, when comments come in, but still, I've been part of, let's say, like almost like even conference calls, or you could think of it like Sunday school, where there's small groups of people chatting and sharing and learning that is really helpful. And there may be a scenario, there may be something like that could be put together. I don't know, but I think he would like that. And those are the types of ideas that we're chewing on right now. So if you don't mind, check that out. And while you're at it, if you are enjoying the podcast, you may have noticed we kind of took a bit of a break from it. Probably a couple months we didn't put up many episodes. That was because we were busy with the house. But the podcast in general has been a little bit of a testing ground. It's been a place for me to sort of experiment with speaking directly to an audience. It's been a place to practice and such. So if it's been something that you enjoy and you think it's worth continuing and putting more of those out, let me know as well. A couple of you at the open house went out of your way and told me that you really enjoy it, and that really means a lot, because again, it can feel a little empty when you're putting these videos up, and especially podcasts where you don't really know how many people, you can see how many people download it, but you don't know if they listen to it, and you definitely don't know if it was worth their time. And so if you don't mind chiming in on that, that'd be helpful. But thanks again. If you want to weigh in on this, the comments on these videos are good, but to be honest, I kind of have stopped reading them as closely because it's hard to explain. But reading YouTube comments can really get in your head when you're the guy doing it. So emails are probably the best. But we've got a member, Brooke is on our team, and she kind of monitors that. So whatever you can do to give us some feedback would be greatly appreciated, especially the survey. We might put up a similar video like this on our main channel, although not sure. My dad's a little busy at the moment, and we don't need 1,000 people to take it. We just need a handful, because we'll probably get the message clear enough. Thanks a lot, guys. We'll talk to you later. And as a postscript, let me add one thing regarding the podcast. Surprisingly, the hardest part about putting the podcast together is finding, but also just scheduling and getting guests to come. And actually finding them is not even that hard. I've got a mile-long list of people that I'd love to, and most of them are interested, but getting schedules to line up and getting it actually happening takes a decent amount of work. If you know someone you think would make a good guest, you could really help by letting that person know, or letting me know and kind of putting us in touch. I have a form on the website designed for people to submit recommendations. And you probably know by now the types of guests we're looking for, but anyone who is any level of an expert in their field of something that's moderately interesting, I want to talk to them, especially construction related, any kind of niche and nitty gritty construction type of contractor or person. As an example off the top of my head, I know nothing about drilling wells, building big overpasses, even routing traffic through city for big construction projects that are routing traffic. There's a lot going on in all of these little parts that I know it's more interesting than might initially you might initially think. So, and the easiest of all of these are people with followings, because when someone has a YouTube channel or an Instagram account, that they're automatically they understand a little bit putting themselves out there, and they want to. Whereas sometimes I'll talk to a contractor who I know has some great information, but you almost have to like explain to them what even the podcast is, why they might want to do it, and a lot of them just don't. And I don't blame them. They're busy running the actual business, and something like this doesn't make sense for them. Whereas if a person is creating content anyways, there can be some more natural, congruency there with those types of people. So certainly anyone with a social media account, I would say send them over if you think they are a candidate. And many of you have done that, and many of those people are getting scheduled at the moment. I've got a couple fun ones coming up. So thanks again for listening. We'll catch you next time.